Welcome to the Grappling Grappling Rewind Podcast.
Welcome to this week on the Grappling Rewind Podcast. On this week's show, we are going to recap Polaris 28. We're going to preview Who's Number 124, and we are also going to preview Main Character that is also happening in Austin, Texas that same weekend. As always on the show, I'm your host, Maine, joined by my co-host,
Miranda.
Hey, Miranda.
Pretty good. How are you?
Doing pretty good. We got a chance to train together right before the show, so that was nice. Haven't trained in a while together, so it's
You
good.
didn't guillotine me, which is...
I did not.
Yeah, you just armbarred the shit out of me. But
You also bashed me in the head with your face accidentally during our round.
Well, I lead head forward.
You do lead head forward. So let's talk. Oh, so we have some news this week. This week we have the last 4 weeks.
Yeah.
We have more names that have been announced that are leaving ADCC, the ADCC World Championships, and are moving over to the Craig Jones Invitational. We have some more news for the Craig Jones Invitational. They're doing some blogs and some vlogs that are highly funny that Miranda made me watch before the podcast.
Yeah.
We also have some folks that made MMA debuts, like notable grapplers that made MMA debuts, so we'll talk about that a little bit in the news section. And pretty much just the recap for Polaris, the Who's Number 1 card. You're actually going to be in Austin, Texas for both the Who's Number 1 card and the Main Character card.
Yeah, I have tickets for both.
So you are not going to be here next week. We're going to get someone else to recap them, and then you're going to come back the week following and be like, I was there.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to see Miranda on the broadcast probably because you're like, what? You got good tickets, didn't you?
For Who's Number 1, I got front row. I don't know which side I am, but I'm a front row seat. So you should be able to see me I'll try to wave or something. I'll do something stupid.
That's Miranda.
Well,
there's so many videos at this point where you can see either me with a cameraman, the media vest and camera, or us because we got there early.
I'm gonna I'm gonna try to remember my my Grappling Rewind shirt so I can sit in the front row with it.
With the podcast, and show the podcast. I don't have a podcast shirt right now.
I'm gonna try, but that's my.
So it'll be fun. You have some cool experience to come back and talk about what it was like live. Because actually, I think nobody on the team yet has been able to make it down to Texas for Who's Number 1. So you're the first.
Yeah, I've never done Who's Number 1. I did the IBJJF Grand Prix.
Yeah, you went down to GD for that. I remember that for Masters Worlds.
But I was already at Master Worlds. Yeah.
Yep. So we this week put together Miranda mostly. Put together a big list of currently who is in ADCC, who is in Craig Jones Invitational. And so week to week, we've been kind of talking about who's moving because a lot of folks have been moving around because the Craig Jones Invitational has a $10,000 show money with the possibility of $1 million for each division. There are 2 divisions, an above 80 kilogram division and an under 80 kilogram division. There's also some super fights. Fionn Davies has dropped from ADCC to take a super fight. Gabby Garcia has dropped from ADCC to take a super fight with Craig Jones. That kind of matchup we almost got about a year ago. That's actually going to happen now. And you took a seminar with Nikki Ryan, last week? And you said yes. He said it's really going to happen.
He said it's going to happen, but he thinks that Craig's going to throw it. But.
So right now we have 16 of 16 for ADCC for under 66 kilos.
Yes.
And that kind of makes sense because the under 66 kilo guys is about 145.
Yeah, they're not.
Probably not going to lose any of those guys because of the weight because under 80 kilos is about 176 pounds.
Yeah.
And a lot of those guys are cutting pretty big weight at 66 kilos to make that, but most of them aren't walking anything above about 160.
Yeah, unless they're really hard cutting, and
but even
none of them are really doing that.
I think the biggest guy in this whole bracket is probably
Gabriel Sosa.
Gabriel and Ethan.
Or maybe Keith. Keith can...
Yeah, Keith gets a little bit. I think even I think Ethan, if Ethan looks like he did at last ADCC, he's cutting a bunch of weight to get down there. But even then, he's not walking anything above 165. You're still 11 pounds below the lowest weight class in CJI. It would make sense that most of these guys wouldn't move. I don't think we've actually had any of the guys at 66 move to CJI.
No, I don't think so.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
So all those still in place. We have 16 of 16. I don't want to go through them. We went through them a couple weeks ago. When we get closer to ADCC, probably the 2 weeks before, we will run through all the names we have. But right now, we have a full listing. At 77, we have had some movement. Davi Ramos is now in, former champion for ADCC.
Yes.
Notably flying armbar GSP back in the day.
Yeah.
Was that Lucas Lepre?
No, he did it because he does the tornado armbar.
Yeah. Over the top. And Alexander Jesus is also in at 77. We currently have 3 open slots at under 77 for ADCC, so we'll see those probably filled out, and then we'll see our reserve slots filled out pretty shortly after that. Under 88, we currently have 16 of 16. This week we have that. You right, Miranda?
Yeah, I had a little. I don't know what that was. I don't know if it was the chip or what it was.
We have Wagner Hosha moving to 88 kilos.
Yeah.
Did he move or did he get announced?
He got announced at that weight.
Okay, because there was a discussion that he was going to go even up to under 99, I think, at one point.
Well, he got a little beefy.
He got a little big.
Yeah.
He had a match with Luke Griffith
that's
a while ago in pit submission.
And he was like 205 or something like that when he did it.
Yeah, something like that. So he is at under 88. We also have Quish Wojcik. Under 88, a guy that we were big fans of.
Yeah.
Have enjoyed his game for a little bit here.
He's went over to B team, and since he's gone over to B team, I think his game has gotten super elevated.
Yeah. We also, so in 99 kilos, it's kind of funny because we currently have 17 of 16.
Yeah, and I don't know who or what's happening because
Well, we know what's happening.
So
somebody's dropped, but it hasn't
dropped.
publicly happened yet. So by the time you hear the show, it'll probably have happened.
Because I pulled the list from the actual official ADCC website list, and I added in the 2 guys that were announced. And when I was like, "This is 17,"
and then you texted the whole group chat. You went, "Hey, look at this." I was like, "Yep, that is 17." And all those guys are announced.
I didn't know if Luke Griffin, because he pulled out he was number 1, if he's hurt, hurt, and that's what they did, or what happened.
So currently we have 17 of 16. Potentially we could have a reserve guy. I mean, right now what I'm guessing is happening at 99 kilos is we're going to have someone leave for CJI, or someone is injured and hasn't been announced as injured yet. Because this week we got Javier Zarduski, who we're also going to talk about, who's number 1, IBJJF world champion, and we got Kyle Bain as well, who we've seen, former trials winner. We've seen him for years. Big, really strong, very large 10th Planet guy. Really great subs, and so both those guys are announced. But that brings us to the 17 of 16. I'm guessing someone's either going to move or going to drop.
Or
given
it could also be a passport thing,
or a visa thing, or
visa thing, or something.
There could be many things, but one of these guys that we have on this list right now is not going to be there. And we also have lost Adam Bradley from this division to CJI.
Yeah, he was announced.
He was announced and then immediately unannounced. Kind of similar with Varela as well.
Yeah.
So we'll get to CJI here in a second. At plus 99, so you have Gordon in this division.
That's what it said on the online.
Because I don't know if we had that confirmed yet until it had been rumored.
Yeah, ADCC's website has him in.
Okay. He is the champion from 2022. Yeah. He's on that. We also got Mike Perez announced officially. He won the 2nd North American trials.
And he's like a 77 kilo guy.
Which is crazy. But again, he won the trials. We have Vince Pertut. I can never get Vince's last name.
Pizzuto.
He got 2nd place. At that trials, we have John Hansen, who we've known for a little bit, got announced, but his video publicly dropped this week. We also have Roosevelt Souza in that division as well. So plus 99 currently only has 2 open slots.
Yeah.
And most of those guys, we got 4 new invites officially with posters this week. And then ladies, we have 1 open invite slot for under 55. At women's under 65 kilograms, we have no slots.
Yeah.
And then at women's plus 65, we have 2 open slots with Amy Campo getting announced. You got announced this week?
Yeah.
You have it in bold here, so I assume it's
the bold
official.
ones are the ones that have been announced this week.
Yeah. So I missed Amy Campo's announcement. But again, your champion at above 60 last ADCC is moving up to above 65 kilos with that new weight class, Amy Campo. So we still have 2 open invites at plus 65 kilos. And then we have a super fight with Gordon Ryan versus Yuris Mose as well that I think is... We have not seen any movement from either of those guys, and I think there's no reason to imagine that we would, given Gordon and Craig's relationship, and then given Yuri's relationship with Gordon, essentially.
Distaste.
Yeah, I think that...
His need for that match.
Yes. So at CJI, for the Craig Jones Invitational, we have a bunch of new people that got announced this week. We have 6 slots remaining at under 80 kilos. We have... Jason Nolf got announced this week. Really, really good, highly credentialed wrestler out of the U.S. Penn State wrestler, Olympic prospect?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Tommy Langacker got announced. So he is a movement from the European trials from ADCC.
Yeah.
He left under 77 kilos as the 2nd European trials winner over to CJI. Levi Jones Leary, also a European trials, Asian Oceanic trials winner. Has moved over to this from CJI. We're going to talk about Levi's game on Polaris this week, in a couple minutes here probably. And Owen O'Flanagan has also got announced for under 80 kilos for CJI. Former trials winner, former invite. I don't remember what last time. I think he's a trials winner.
I think he's a trials winner, and he went over, and then he won his first match, and we were like, holy shit, he won his first match.
Yeah, he had a really impressive run last year, but he has now been in CJI. We also have Andy Varela as well, making the jump over to CJI this week.
Andy Varela at under 80. Like, he just seems big, but then he gets...
But he makes under 70. He makes 77.
Yeah.
But he's enormous. We saw him live. We've seen him live a couple of times now, but at West Coast Trials 2022, he was bigger than every under 77 kilo dude in that bracket. In the finals, he was against PJ Barch, against Barch, I think. And it was like, he was enormous. And Barch is not a small 77 guy either. And Andy Varela was enormous. We'll talk about Varela in his matchup with Joseph Chen in the preview section of the show a little later. And then at the above 80 kilograms division for CJI, we have 5 slots remaining. We have Adam Bradley this week getting announced for ADCC and then moving over to CJI. We have Max Jimenez also getting announced for this. Yeah. I don't think Max was announced for ADCC, but he got an invite last ADCC. Yeah. Again, Max Jimenez, super high-level guy. He fights here locally. He's actually out of the Maryland area now.
He is.
Friends with some of the folks on the show. So we've watched Max's career for many years. I did one of the first athlete interviews I did that wasn't like at an event. I did some work for Fight to Win. I got a chance to interview Max the week that he got announced for ADCC.
Oh, nice.
And I had to subtitle the entire thing because the audio was so bad. And I was like, cool. Before we go to ADCC, I had to get some better audio equipment. And that was one of the Max interview was actually the thing that gave me the catalyst to get some of the equipment we brought out to ADCC 2019.
Yeah.
So that was fun. And then Felipe Andrew has also been announced at above 80. So that is currently what we have. We have 5 slots there. Super fights. We have Fionn Davies. We actually know who Fionn Davies is against now. And I've forgotten who it is now.
I didn't
but it got announced. Or maybe somebody in the comments was wrong about that.
I didn't see it officially announced that who she was going against, but maybe I'm wrong.
Who knows? We also have Gabby Garcia versus Craig Jones as well for CJI. So that's all the movement between all the divisions for ADCC and CJI. We're going to do this until all of them kind of shake out. Again, not many slots remaining in either event. I mean, they're going to move up until the week of the event because that's historically, like, I think 2019 had like 19 changes for ADCC before there was another event going on. So it's like, it's not uncommon to have an ADCC has just over 100 athletes. In the previous years, they've had 98 with a reserve slot at every division. Now, with the addition of women's division, they have 106 with an addition of reserve slots. So there's just about 120 athletes that are on those rosters for ADCC. Having 10% or 20% of them drop isn't actually that unusual for a regular year. With another competing event like this. It doesn't surprise us to see this level of movement. But that's what we got. Miranda, anything else on this whole breakdown that we got? I appreciate you putting this all together to put it into perspective, to keep it in order. And
they announced CGI.
It's so hard to not call it like CJI.
Yeah. The tickets go on sale to Monday.
Yep, and they're $5,500.
Yeah, we need to discuss if we're getting them as a group or not.
We should do that.
I'm thinking like the $200 seats. They were like the green level.
I mean,
you want cheap seats?
We'll see.
Okay.
Because we have because I'm going to ADCC.
I know, but we have
for day one. I'm like, I'm doing much Friday anyway. Might as well go see some Craig Jones.
So what? Buy like the $50 seats?
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Okay, I'll sit in the nosebleeds. I don't care.
Sit in the nosebleeds. We'll see how it runs, but yeah, they go on sale Monday. We have to have a discussion with the whole team for Grappling.
But I think it's like the old ADCC.
It's Thompson Mack.
Yeah,
it's just open seating again.
Yeah, it's open seating again.
The seating chart looks very similar, suspiciously similar.
I think they stole the seating chart.
The ADCC seating chart from
the exact
2022.
Yeah, it's the same exact seating chart.
So, but again, we had good. I enjoyed a hell of our seats in 2022. So,
but those seats are like $400.
Yeah, we had good seats. We had good seats for 2022. We paid for them, but they were fun. So, other news that we got, go back. So Miranda made me watch it, and it was worth it. Go back and watch the vlog for Craig Jones Invitational. It gets wild.
It's called The Road to CJI.
Miranda's like, you seen the witches? I was like, I have not seen the witches. So
he goes to Romania, because he's going to the Ukraine. And you can't fly into the Ukraine because it's a no-fly zone. So he has to go through another country.
Either Poland or Romania. Or
the
primary
so I guess,
areas
I guess some guy in Romania was like, hey. And
Do
probably.
a seminar? You got to come this way anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
And Craig was like, I guess we'll do a seminar. So he did a seminar.
And that was where if you were online and you saw Craig Jones heel hook the fuck out of somebody and they don't tap and he like hurt like that whole, I think that came from this. That was that seminar. That was that seminar because I think they were trying to like, you know.
They were trying to win a little bit.
They were trying to win a little bit and he was kind of showing them that, you know.
I'm Craig Jones.
Yeah.
So that.
But so that's there. But then he goes to some Romanian witches, which, you know.
It's a thing in Romania.
Romania has gypsy people and witches. I mean, it's a real thing. And he made sure that he was no longer sexually attracted to
Gabby Garcia. He got them to take that curse away.
Love curse away.
He did a ceremony for Gordon to heal his stomach issues or his other issues.
Yeah.
And that was a whole train of things. And then he also lifted another curse. It was a wild video.
It's an experience.
Yeah, it's an experience video. So go back and watch it.
And he runs the part you skipped over. They run tarot cards to prove that she does have a curse on him, and she does have a curse on him.
It's
yes.
From a matchmaking perspective, it was also very funny. They have intercut to this is the seminar, this whole piece with the witches, and they also have Craig and Seth, his promoter.
Yeah.
The guy that helps run B Team essentially.
Yeah.
Getting frustrated with Craig about trying to get a hold of athletes to announce and confirm that they are actually in CJI.
Yeah.
It was just so funny because both organizations, ADCC and CJI, are now on the back end having these same conversations. And it was very funny to see Craig get so frustrated with like, well, why can't, like, why are they going to do it? Are they not going to do it?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? They had to keep bleeping out the names of the athletes. And I just thought it was very funny. I'm like, yep, dealing with promoters for the commentary side, this is unfortunately what it is like to deal with a lot of athletes in the sport. And it was just very funny to see a firsthand account of like Craig, who they've won events at M1A before. Him and Lachlan have run events, and they're no stranger to that. But at this scale, it was funny to see Craig like kind of having the same thing of like, why aren't they getting back to me? And it's like, yep, this is jiu-jitsu, guys.
Pretty much.
So it was a neat peek behind the curtain that you don't get a chance to see a lot of, and it was cool. So that was that. In MMA news, we don't cover a lot on the show, but for when big name grapplers make MMA debuts or have their first couple fights, we talk about it. Bia Basilio won her MMA debut. You said that she got like a rear naked choke in the first round?
In the first round, I believe.
Yep. So that's really exciting. Damian Anderson also got a really quick rear naked choke in the second round. Not quick, but like super dominant rear naked choke in the second round. I didn't see the first round of his fight, but Nicky Rod actually posted like a snippet of the finish. Man, has an impressive rear naked choke, comes across, gets the finish. I think this was his pro debut or his second pro fight. I forget.
No,
I'm mixing up him and Cody Steele because Cody Steele had a bunch.
I don't think he's pro yet. I think he's still amateur.
I thought he had to go pro because he couldn't get any more amateur fights. Like guys wouldn't fight him.
Oh yeah, that is a true.
I thought that's what it was.
And then he had to put up his own money. He had to put like up to like $2,000 of his own money.
Yeah.
To get a guy.
To get guys to even fight him. Which again, for a lot of these like high level guys, I think Cody Steele had the same problem coming up into early pros. Like it was hard to get him fights sometimes. I was also in the corner this weekend in New Jersey. My guy got a real quick knockout. That was very nice. Like 10 seconds of grappling and the knockout, and we got to go home,
which is great.
Which is very nice. Super impressive. Super happy with him and his camp. So it's been funny to kind of come back into the MMA world again as we have a younger fighter that's kind of coming up through the amateur scene. It's been a fun little adventure to getting punched in the face a little more and like, all right, I forgot why I kind of stopped doing this like a lot of years ago. You also have a note here: Chael Sonnen versus Anderson Silva. Oh, it's a draw?
It was a draw.
Oh, I missed that. I saw them both had their hands raised.
It was a draw. Anderson moved faster, and Anderson definitely broke Chael's nose at one point because his nose kept on bleeding down his face. But they seemed like, if you watched it, either
they were buddies?
It seemed like a sparring match. Like, it didn't seem like either were really trying to knock the other one's head off. It was kind of like touch.
Let's get that money.
Like, yeah.
Let's get that money, baby.
It looked more like I want to get some money than an actual boxing match.
Hey,
but
look, those guys earned it absolutely. I want to see them get paid as, again, all athletes. I want to see them get paid as much as possible.
Sonnen's interviews all weekend were hilarious because they were all about cheating and different ways he was going to cheat to win. And it was
funny.
Yeah. And I couldn't tell
what
what anything was being said because it was also all in Portuguese. And I'm like watching it trying to and I don't know enough Portuguese to.
So that's all I got. That's what you have anything else on the news section?
Nope, that's it.
If you will like the show, please share it with the folks at your gym. Please like it, subscribe, leave us a YouTube comment. Again, all the stuff that helps grow the show. I'm trying to make a bigger push in 2024 to continue to grow the show. We've kind of taken our foot off the gas, but we think we do a good show. And if you think we do a good show, we would really appreciate you like sending it to someone in your gym that's into professional jiu-jitsu or the scene or in the lead up to ADCC. They want to learn more. We're going to do a couple more sort of educational shows like we did a couple of months ago for all the athletes in ADCC. If you want to get a good primer for who you're about to watch or why some of these storylines are interesting or some of the context behind some of these matches, please share it with the folks that you train with because we really appreciate that. And we don't really do any outside marketing other than this pitch in the show right now. And so we would very much appreciate you helping give us that push, give us a like, give us a follow here and there. It does mean a lot. And it's the reason why we do the shows because we really enjoy it and we appreciate that. So with that being said, let us move on to Polaris 28 recap. Miranda, I want to start at the top. I want to start with Mateusz Szczecinski versus Levi Jones Leary.
Yeah. That was the fight of the night.
That was a super exciting match. Yeah. We talked about it in the preview, where this was basically going to be a match of can Levi Jones Leary bolo Mateusz Szczecinski, which we were in the preview were like, he probably can.
Yeah.
And in the transition, is Mateusz Szczecinski going to break his leg off?
Yeah.
We were kind of right about the dynamic of the match, while also being very wrong about the dynamic of the match, what I thought was very interesting. They start out and they both double pull. And then we've seen this more from Levi Jones Leary. And on the pre-show, we were talking about it.
Yeah.
We've seen more passing from Levi Jones Leary, especially before he got announced for the Craig Jones Invitational when he was going to go do ADCC.
He also has a really good bolo from like almost forcing you into De La Riva and rolling under from that position. So he has kind of his bolo entries from both positions, from top and bottom. And I think ever since wasn't he the double DQ?
Yeah, a couple years ago, like 2019
So I think
World
around that time, like he's been trying to kind of
Levi Jones Leary got double DQ'd at Worlds in the quarterfinals because for IBJJF, if you pull and there's 20 seconds, if you double pull and there's 20 seconds and no one coming to top, you get a penalty. If you do that 4 times, you're disqualified. Levi Jones Leary when he was a front runner to win the Worlds that year, got disqualified due to that.
Yeah.
And we saw him not really change his game a ton, but be more willing to like not just straight up get disqualified.
Yeah.
We almost saw him get disqualified at Spider that same year. Like be a little more willing to play the game and diversified his tool set more in more areas.
Yeah.
So we've been seeing this for a couple of years, but it was just nice to see Levi Jones Leary immediately move into passing. His passing has looked very good. And then Mateusz Szczecinski just consistently went for his legs.
Yeah.
But not at a position. And you picked this up when you were watching it, and we actually rewatched it prior to the show. The way that Mateusz Szczecinski prioritizes the hand fight.
Yeah, he does a lot of hand control, and it's like the far wrist. He's always trying to control it or know where it is, or he's playing almost like a knee shield reverse De La Riva kind of because it's somewhere between those two positions because
he plays very flat on his back. He's also got an amazing regard.
Because Levi is passing pretty low because he's trying to knee cut, but Mateusz isn't doing like your standard knee shield because he still has his hips kind of elevated. So it's like the between stage of that.
And we're also I think we saw Levi using that super low knee cut, partially because he likes it, but also because it doesn't give Szczecinski the access to his legs that a higher up knee cut will give you. Like a lot of times it's a really classic counter is you can invert for the legs off of someone knee cutting high because there's enough space to get your body under there. And even like later in the match, we saw Levi Jones Leary almost passing, like knee cut passing, like chest to the mat at one point, like a super like stanced out knee cut pass to the side. And Szczecinski was, again, super flattened out, holding the wrist or holding behind that same side knee cut elbow and never really letting Levi Jones Leary get control of his hands to dominate the hand position and then shuck his hands beside. And then it was a very good match.
And what I found amazing about it was that his leg pummel was so good that it didn't really matter that he was flat or that his hands were being used for something else. He could always leg pummel his leg back in. Where a lot of guys
aren't
you just
that good at it.
You just don't have the hip mobility to be able to like pull it and pull
it reminds me a lot
there.
of like how Mikey does it, where he just has some really nice attributes, some very good flexibility to not only like flexibility and dexterity to be able to, without even being super flexible, get your hip socket and the leg back down in front of someone trying to pass.
Because it also looks, I mean, like he's putting a lot of weight in. Like it's not like he's very strong in doing it. It's not like he's
not just getting his feet in front. He's getting his feet in front, and he is dictating where someone is passing on. In this case, Levi Jones-Leary, where Levi Jones-Leary's chest is, where his hip is. He's getting his leg in front and then pushing him away and framing him to the distance that he wants to start working to re-enter the legs or reset the guard position in a way to force Levi to pass in sort of the range that he wants him to pass in. We saw him both kind of hooking the hips in and getting away in order to really consistently dictate the range. There were some really great leg locks here. Again, so what was really nice about this is we had great leg locks attempts from Mateusz Szczecinski, but also immediately really, really good defense from Levi Jones-Leary. And he was pulling out far enough away. And then the thing I like about Leary's game is that he will pull out and then he will try to counter Barambola you. But you picked up on this, and you said this before, Mateusz Szczecinski actually also has a very good Barambola.
Yeah, he has a good bolo game. He has a good bolo game. And so the problem is, like, he was almost trying to re-bolo once he was being boloed.
Yeah.
Which I was like, holy shit, somebody's like... It's like the cheat code of, like, how do you do this?
He was also doing a really good job of blocking Levi Jones-Leary's De La Riva hook. Whenever he would try to come in, he would immediately either get his topside knee in front of it, or he would kind of pull it off so Levi Jones-Leary's leg wasn't in a good position to elevate his, like, far side leg, the leg you're typically going to bolo with. It was just a really good game plan, and he kept getting off leg locks, and he kept going over. He did the entry. The closest one we saw, there was two close ones, but Levi Jones-Leary did a really good job both times of not ever getting it, so he got kind of turned.
Getting his knee line out.
He did the entry that Lachlan did to all three guys in 2019 in the Absolute, where he did the far side K-guard entry where you slide the leg through. Beautiful. Again, exactly how Lachlan did it, which is funny because Levi Jones-Leary spent a bunch of time training at Unity and then spent a bunch of time training with Lachlan Giles.
I'm kind of surprised, too, that Levi didn't, and I need to watch why he didn't do this, but it wasn't like Mateusz's top leg was being hidden. He kind of, when he would throw it over, he kind of threw it over like right in front of his face.
I think it's probably a tactical decision.
And Levi wouldn't, like, my first reaction when somebody does that, and what you're taught a lot of times, is to control the top leg.
Yeah.
Because if the top leg can't go over, then they can't get in.
Right.
But Levi doesn't address that leg at all. He almost lets him get there, knowing that he can escape from there, or knowing that if he gets his knee out, he can just bolo you.
I think that's what it is. It's a thing. It's like, hey, I kind of want your leg there because I'm going to counter this, and then I'm going to counter this into a rolling back kick bolo, which is what it looked like. But
so it's almost like he lets the fire happen, so that he can escape it and attack.
We've seen him do that for years, where it's like he'll initiate something, he'll counter it, and then he'll counter you into a Berimbolo to take your back. And we saw him almost get it one time. So there was two entries that were really good from Szczecinski. Levi did a good job every time of shifting, stiff arming, getting out, freeing his knee line. Even on the re-attack, he freed his knee line.
One was nasty. Like one looked like it had the potential to get to be a very
and then
nasty.
Levi expertly just clears the knee line just enough in order to get back in. And then towards the later end of the match, Levi Jones-Leary gets off one really good jumping Berimbolo, almost like a ninja roll. Not quite a truck roll, but like a variation of how he does the Berimbolo. It's like it's not technically a Berimbolo, but it's like a truck roll over top to get the back. And Szczecinski does an amazing job of framing on the top of Levi Jones-Leary's shoulder, pushing him away, getting far enough away, and then scooting out so Levi Jones-Leary doesn't end up under his hips or on his back. And it was just like, yep, the sequence is done. And you talked about it when we were driving over. You were like, I want to see how he did that because not a lot of guys can stop Levi Jones-Leary. I want to see what he was doing there to specifically stop that transition.
Because Levi almost knows every way that you're going to resist the bolo, and then he has an answer to, okay, if they do this, you do this. If you do this. And in all honesty, I've never seen a way to really get out fully.
People don't consistently. They'll manage to escape and kind of stifle it. But Mateusz Szczecinski was he was almost behind, and then he was He got where he needed to be. He pushed out, and he just kind of it didn't end in this kind of protracted scramble out where Levi Jones there was able to continue climbing up, which is usually what he's able to do, or climb to a better position, or in a lot of cases recently, he'll climb to side control.
Yeah.
That just didn't happen. Szczecinski pushed him off, got his back flat, put him back in a guard.
Yeah.
And it was just, wow, that you've taken that thing that is so dangerous in Levi Jones Leary's game, and you've sort of just nullified it. Yeah. So, beautiful match, great match. I've watched it twice in the last in the last day and a half. Yeah. It was a really exciting match. Mateusz Szczecinski kind of clearly wins a decision here. I think in a pretty big upset. We knew Szczecinski was good. We've known he's good. He's a trials winner.
Initially, it was supposed to be because Mateusz is already the champion because he took out Jed Hue.
Yes.
Really quickly.
Jed Hue was also on the card
by ankle lock. It was supposed to be Mateusz Szczecinski versus PJ Barch because PJ Barch won the
Grand Prix.
The Grand Prix.
Yes, I remember that.
But PJ Barch didn't take the match,
and they didn't quite know why.
Yeah.
In the broadcast, they were like, we're not really sure.
They're both in 77.
Right.
And would you take a match against somebody who would break your foot off, like right before you do ADCC?
A month before ADCC?
Yeah.
Maybe not.
You know what I mean?
It's like, hey, man, he's super dangerous, and I have ADCC, which now with the division is like a lot of the big names are out of that division. I have a very good shot at being the ADCC champion. Let's hold off on Mateusz Szczecinski for a month, and then I will come back and fight him because Polaris is absolutely going to let him fight for the title, which I like.
And maybe there is something else going on. Maybe he's just not available. But I wouldn't take a match with Mateusz Szczecinski right before something big coming up.
July. Yeah, what? Oh, 2 months. We're still 2 months out.
Yeah.
But again, 2 months out. If he breaks your foot, he's going to break it. Yeah. And we've seen him do that before. So, again, Szczecinski retains in a really, really impressive performance against Levi Jones Leary. This is, for on size parity, so I think some of the best. He didn't just nullify the game. He beat him on activity. He beat him on entries. He kind of put Levi Jones Leary a lot of these times in the back foot, and it's just not really something we see from Levi Jones Leary.
No.
It was just a really
matched
and set up
match. The other match that Levi lost against PJ Barch just wrestled him, and that was it.
He just out-wrestled the guy versus Mateusz is playing into a game that Levi Jones Leary is fairly adept in.
Yeah.
I think that's probably why it was more impressive to me because you took a guy's skill set that we know is so world class, and you kind of played adjacent to it in a way, and still were able to come up on top with more activity. It was good. It was a really good match. You should definitely go back and watch this match. Matches like this are why I'm happy that I have Fight Pass because it was awesome to watch. Where do you want to go here from Miranda?
We'll go to the main event.
Let's go to the main event.
The main event changed a day before it happens.
Yeah. Do we ever know? So this was supposed to be Owen Livesey versus Yoel Romero.
They said Yoel Romero, due to the weather, was unable to get a flight.
Oh, okay. I remember that. They were talking about that on the broadcast.
there was a lot of weather going on down in the Florida area.
Oh, he's in Florida. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Well, I don't know if he's in Florida or Cuba, but still that area.
I think he's in Florida now.
Is he in Florida?
He's been in Florida, I think, for about 20 years.
Because he defected, didn't he?
He defected to Germany, and then he came over. Yeah. He's got a really, really cool story. If you ever go back and actually look at his story.
Yeah, they said the weather was not.
The weather was bad.
The weather was bad.
So they replaced it with I'm gonna screw this name up. Miranda, you want to take a stab at this one?
Basanger,
mm-hmm.
Baki,
mm-hmm.
Chamsoudinov.
We're gonna call him Baki. Because I only had 1 day to learn his name properly.
Chamsoudinov.
This was an open weight match. It was a late replacement.
I don't know why it was open weight because one was 96 kilos and one was 94 kilos.
I think originally the bout was open weight and they didn't want to have to either guys to weigh. It was just hey man, it's open weight, whatever you want, and both guys agreed to it, which I'm happy. I'm happy we didn't lose Owen out of the main event.
We were going to try to figure out what the hell happened with this.
Yeah. This match on the mat was declared win for Owen, and then later it was turned into a draw. They're going to rebook it. Again, Baki is huge in France. Owen is a big draw as well. They kind of wrestled for the entirety of the match. Nothing really happened, and really nothing. They both kind of stuffed each other's attempts, with Owen really being the aggressor and pushing forward most of the time, and Baki backing out most of the time, to such an extent that in the last 15 or 30 seconds, Owen pulls guard.
He did.
And tries, which is something with even the commentary kind of laughs, oh man, it's bad when Owen's pulling guard here trying to get something going, and then couldn't get anything going. That was the entire match. I think it should have been for Owen. I'm not really sure why it got overturned to a draw.
Yeah, I don't understand.
They talked about rebooking this in France. I love Polaris.
Baki has a lot of
He's
people.
a huge guy in France.
Yeah, a lot of people.
I don't really want to see this one again. I don't think it was not a really great match. It was not a really exciting match. Owen is a guy, as far as like a matchmaking style, I think you rebook this. I think you kind of get the same exact. Nothing about either of these gentlemen's styles points that we're gonna get a different dynamic in a rematch. Owen's style, he kind of needs people to play the game with him and push in and like kind of be aggressive with him. That's when he's his most exciting. That's when he gets to showcase his game, and that's when he can be countered. That's when he can be beat.
And Baki he wasn't engaging. He didn't engage until the very end of the match, and then he started.
Even then, it wasn't much.
And I don't
have much. There's not really much to break down here because it was a slow match. I would really prefer put either of these guys in different matchups that cater more to someone that will play their game with them, because I'm not super interested in watching it again because I don't really think it'll go a different way.
I don't think it does either. So Polaris, their official statement on it was, "We'd like to extend our thanks to our main event athletes for stepping up on short notice to make sure fans had an exciting end to the event. Based on our discussions before the event and last-minute nature of the matchup, this bout is officially declared a draw, not a victory as shown on the broadcast." So they must have, maybe there was some discussion before the match happened.
Yeah, hey, your related placement. You can't lose by decision. You can draw.
Yeah,
if there's no win, you go to draw, which happens occasionally.
Yeah.
And that probably wasn't communicated to the broadcast team.
And
it was a discussion with the athletes, and the athletes went, "Hey, we talked about this beforehand."
And maybe the ref didn't. The ref didn't know.
It's errors like this happen. Again, I would. These guys are great. I would really prefer them in different
And that makes
matchups.
sense of why Baki was his reaction. Because when they raised Owen's hand, his reaction was like, "What the hell is happening?"
Right.
And I wonder if they said, like, if no one subs,
it can go to a draw. Yeah,
it goes to a draw. And so Baki was like, I'm going to win this by just like coasting.
Which would also make sense with how he grappled, how he did on late replacement. Yeah. Again, it was a little odd. I don't have much else. Let's move on. Do you have anything else?
No.
Okay. Let's talk about this fun match. Helena Crevar defeated Jessika Torttila via decision. Had this gone 20 seconds more, it would have been a rear naked choke.
Yeah.
I am guessing.
She had a full face crank on there.
Oh, yeah, and was cranking and, like, really had figured out Tortilla's game, had figured out the back mount position here, and was, like, just looking to finish. And it looked like that she was setting up to be able to finish here.
And this was for the 60-kilogram championship, which Helena said that is what her walk-around weight is.
Yeah.
So that she's completely fine. I don't think she said. I think they asked her to call someone out, and she wouldn't call anybody
Which
out.
I like. Again, I like Crevar, super respectful.
Yeah.
And so I think we talked about it last week.
Her and her mom also had matching outfits.
I liked that. In the broadcast call, I was like, I thought they say matching outfit. That's awesome. And it was cool because her mom was in her corner. I don't remember her mom being in her corner in a while.
Her mom's always there.
Yeah, always,
I've seen
her mom and dad are always there.
But I think Danaher couldn't be there. So if Danaher can't be there.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I remember, I'm trying to think about when I judged some of her matches at ADCC at the World Open in 2022. A lot of her matches were on my mat. And I'm trying to remember. Actually, it might have been her mom there, too. Her mom might have been coaching her there. It might have been her coach, her previous coach, the one they gave her the comments and basically like, she's not super, like, phenomenally gifted anywhere. She's just a super hard worker, and that is why she is so good. Which I think is, like, some of the best endorsement a coach can give you. It's like, like, you just work really hard.
Yeah.
And so it was cool to see her mom in her exact same, like, top there. And I was like, that's kind of cool. Helena Crevar has gotten better and better. Every time we talk about her on the show, I am more impressed with her game. She, in this match, showed good top work, great work from the guard, good footlock attempts, and consistently for the entire match, kind of in the same way that Mateusz Szczecinski versus Levi Jones went. It was sort of like one-way traffic, but even in a little more of a dominant, in a much more dominant fashion than in the other match. Crevar consistently. There was two pieces in the match. There was one piece where they rolled off the mat in a heel hook, and it looked like Jessika had almost tapped in the first transition. And it was like, okay, that was very tight. And the commentary actually went like, that was very tight. She almost hover hand tapped there before, and then as they rolled, it looked like it almost happened again, where it's like, okay, Crevar has this, and they reset them because they were into the stanchions.
Yeah.
And that made sense. it was really just Crevar consistently. I think that was the closest leg lock entry.
Yeah, that was the closest sub entry besides the very end, which was definitely would have happened if it would have been a couple seconds later.
But we saw Crevar throwing up triangle attempts, which we know. Again, when you let Crevar play from her guard, she is fantastically good, and that was on display here. It was more of the same from Crevar, but she had even more comfort. She seemed even more willing to kind of, in matches from her a year ago, we saw her be almost really until ADCC and the first trials that she lost to Mo Black.
Yeah,
she was really a guard player. She wanted to play on the guard. That's really all she wanted to play. And then after the loss to Mo Black, we've seen her kind of in all of her matches be very willing to take the match sort of many other places. And we've seen some more dynamism in her skill develop of just like, oh, she's a good passer. Oh, she can fight from the top. She can get the back. She can do all of these other things. And she's really rapidly improved in all areas. That was on display here. I needed a place that Jessika was able to take the match. Crevar was able to go, cool, we're having the match here now, and I'm going to start throwing up these subs, these transitions, this pass. And it ends with Helena on the back with a fully locked-in rear naked choke, either on the face or on the top of the jaw.
Yeah.
Not quite under the chin, but she was bellied down out to the side and then had threaded the hand behind and was pressuring in. And it was like, yeah, this is a time thing. Either she can eat it and she's able to turn, but it looked like that Crevar had really sunk her outside hip down onto Torttila's hip there, and that Torttila was not able to escape.
It also like Torttila was
tired.
Yeah, gonna wait the clock out. Like
it looked like I'm going to eat this and deal with it.
Yeah.
Versus like I'm going to actively defend and move, which again, sometimes in the rear naked choke, you will have a second there where you're like, okay, I'm gonna just eat this for a second, get my arms back, and then pull again. And that can be a valid strategy, but it very much looked like Jessika knew that the time was close and was like, okay, if I move, there's a transition opportunity here for her. If I don't, I can at least make it to decision, and then with a decision, there's always a chance it goes your way. So as an athlete, it makes sense to to push for that. But yeah, Crevar takes a extremely clean decision. Was she not already the champion?
There wasn't one.
Okay, that's what it was.
Yeah, it was a brand new belt.
Cool. Again, awesome. I love that Crevar has this belt. I'm very excited for Polaris to bring her over.
She also signed the
exclusivity deal,
the Europe only deal,
like like Levi Jones Leary has. So if we see her in Europe, we're going to see her on Polaris, which again I hope means that we see her on Polaris more as the champion. There are some really fun 60 kilogram matches for her. She seems willing to kind of move around a little bit and like take matches. She's 17 and she is rapidly improving. I'm super curious to see what she looks like at ADCC, what she looks like on Who's Number One. Like, been very, very impressive, and she keeps consistently making improvements and impressive.
I wonder how much money Craig Jones would have to pay her to pull out of ADCC and go against
Fionn.
Oh,
that'd be a good match. She's new wave though, and like there's not a single person from new wave on Who's Number One.
Yeah, because I saw a couple comments. Some of them said too. Like I think it's a general understanding that team is not going to participate.
Yeah, that's
but like
they've also
how much money she could probably get to take that match.
I'd watch the hell of the match. That's a good. Again, we have a really, really nice crop of super high level women in the sport in general, but in that weight bracket from about 55 to 60, like there's a bunch of people, and they'll all kind of move a little bit to fight each other. Super. So I think she'll outsize Fionn, but like that's right now I think it's too much too soon. But with the rate that Crevar is
because she's
improving,
kind of killing everyone.
With the rate that she's improving, like I'm really excited because we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it in the next couple of years. Crevar has made massive improvements to her game since that loss to Mo Black, and like I'm curious where it's gonna go. So let's move on. Which one? What do we do next?
We go Santeri
Lilius versus Ben Bennet. This is a rematch of the European Trials final, the first European Trials that Santeri won. Santeri wins this one again. Okay, so in your note here, you have on back for 6 to 7 minutes. Was it that long? I thought it was like 4.
No, it was like the entire. It was.
It was that long.
Because it was a 15-minute match.
Was it 10 or 15? It was 10.
But are they 10?
I thought they were 10 now.
The finals are 15.
Yeah, I think everything was 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe the championships are 15. Okay, but
regardless,
still, he was on the back for.
He backpacked him.
And I mean, dude stood up and walked around a little bit. He did like you walk around because you're like, I don't fucking know what to do.
Who did Uriah Faber do this to? Uriah Faber was on someone's back in a body triangle and they stood up. That was Dominic Cruz, was it?
It might have been.
Like early career, but it was literally minutes
and
of
he's
Santeri
a big man to be
on his back.
He's a big man to be on your back.
Yeah. He said Ben Bennet was bigger than him, which was funny. He's like, didn't expect him to be that big. He was really big.
Yeah.
This was, again, minutes of Santeri looking for the rear naked choke, Ben Bennet defending. At one point, Ben Bennet stands up with Santeri in the body triangle, and Santeri's just like, I guess we're here now.
Yeah.
And because you can't spike or slam, like, it was just minutes of like Ben Bennet just defending the hands diligently and Santeri staying on the back.
Yeah, and Santeri was really good at not losing position because he could have went for like a Solov stretch or like Sulev.
And the commentary wanted to do it over and over again.
He could have went for something that was a little more dynamic,
flashy.
But I think he would have lost position if he did that.
Because Ben Bennett's very good, and Santeri knows he's good. They fought before.
Yeah,
like he knows they're both in Europe. They went into the finals together against each other at ADCC. You're a good grappler if you're making it that far, and so. Why would you? I think one thing I like about Santeri in his game is that we consistently see him make good decisions. Like he's not super flashy. He's very controlled. He's pretty methodical.
Yeah. Has he not? He's subbed his way through all trials. He's never
won all of his trials matches. I don't remember if he's subbed.
I don't remember. Yeah.
He has never lost an ADCC trials match.
That's what it was. That's what the fact is.
Yeah, that's the fact that we always kind of bring up. Because like that's kind of neat. That's very impressive as well. But again, matches like this, just dominant bell to bell. Even before the back take, like he was the aggressor. He was the one on the offensive. He was the one in the driver's seat of the match. Gets the back. Spends almost the remainder of the match on the back. Ben Bennet eventually is able to sort of deal with it. Yeah. But you put up that commanding of an offense on the back for that long, it was a very clear decision for Santeri.
Yes.
I don't have much more other than it was a ton of time. And even Ben Bennet was like walking around with someone on his back, which was kind of funny.
But it was good like hand fighting. It was good.
Oh, yeah.
He did a really good job trying to get out of the position. He just couldn't get out of the position.
And most people, like to credit to Santeri, most people cannot hold the back this well because when you stand up, it's not a great back defense, but usually for protracted periods of time, you're eventually going to lose it.
You're going to blow your legs out. Your legs have to like cinch.
And your arm, if you hold on top of the shoulder, like you'll eventually like physically like make a mistake, like either tactically make a mistake for how you're holding it, or in your transition you'll make a mistake, or you'll just burn your legs out and like have to do something, or you'll get impatient and like I'll go for the arm, I'll go for the leg, I'll spin to the leg. You'll do something, and Santeri just didn't the entire time, and Ben Bennet just kind of tried to force those reactions and just defended his neck the entire time because that's the only thing available, and just dealt with the pressure of Santeri on his back. It was honestly, usually matches like this we'd kind of talk around being not as exciting. This was actually a pretty interesting match because of just the stakes of it and how it played out. So Santeri, clear decision here, but pretty neat little match.
Yep.
Next match we had Jed Hue versus Stevie Ray by decision. This is and commentary said it on the broadcast. Yeah. Some of the most we've ever seen from Jed Hue as far as dynamism.
Yeah.
And I think.
But it's also, I think, partially because Stevie Ray, having an MMA background, isn't as technical of a jiu-jitsu player.
Mm-hmm. I think thing we've beaten on this show for years and years, and you have a straight-up jiu-jitsu guy versus a guy doing anything else but straight jiu-jitsu. There's gonna be a gap there, especially at the highest level for guys like Jed Hue. Yeah, there's gonna be, and Stevie Ray's fought in the PFL, he's fought in the UFC, he was the Cage Warriors champion, like very high-level MMA fighter.
But Stevie Ray did also have some really good defense when Jed Hue was going into the legs, like his
in the triangle and all of like a bunch of that. Like Stevie Ray had good passing. Yeah. Sorry, I think I kind of cut you off immediately.
No, that's fine. No, it's that it wasn't that he was that.
It wasn't a blowout victory.
No, yeah.
It was very clearly Jed Hue making transitions, putting up offense, putting up submission attempts, putting up entries into the legs, putting up entries into the triangles.
Yeah.
And Stevie Ray consistently getting in front of that and not getting submitted, not getting like ever super, super deep into anything. There was one leg lock that got pretty deep, and it looked like Jed Hue could have finished it. it was like a heel hook or a toe hold, and then you saw Stevie Ray go, and then you saw Jed Hue kind of pull off, and Stevie Ray went like, and Jed Hue went, he didn't tap, did you? Actually, I didn't. Then he kind of went back for it, but Stevie Ray had improved his position. So I think it kind of reminded me of PJ Barks versus Sakuraba.
Yeah.
Where and it wasn't the same, like, where Sakuraba started talking, and PJ Barks was like, he is speaking Japanese. Yeah. Is he tapping? Is he not? And Sakuraba was like, no, I'm not tapping, I'm just talking.
Yeah.
And then PJ Barks went, oh, fuck, now I got to finish Sakuraba, and he was able to get out. It wasn't like that. It was just Jed Hue didn't want to break Stevie Ray.
Yeah.
Didn't go full force in it, and Stevie Ray like almost tapped and then got enough out where it was Jed Hue was like, maybe shouldn't have been as nice to you here. But again, Jed Hue takes a very clean decision and then called it Ash Williams.
Yeah.
I think it was the second Ash Williams call of the night. Ash Williams is like the most popular dude. This is like one of the biggest names in Europe, which makes sense.
Is that what it is? Is that why they're all calling him out?
I mean, he's one of the most notable guys for us in Europe. Like, you say European guy, I'm like, the Ash Williams is like the first guy I think about.
I saw him at Nogi Worlds, and I was like, I know this guy, but I can't figure out why I know this guy. There was I had to go online and like research him and try to figure out who he was, and I was like, that's why I know.
That's why I know who you are, Ash Williams. I would love to see that match. Again, Jed Hue has to get to 70 to take the match, which is hilarious because he did under 99 for trials. But again, he wasn't quite under 99. But Jed Hue seems to be Oliver Taza in that respect, where he can kind of bounce up his weight to whatever weight class he needs to be. But we've seen Jed Hue much slimmer. I think he has, was it the most matches on Polaris? Or was that someone else?
I think Jed Hue.
Yeah, Jed Hue. Most matches, I think 10 appearances on Polaris across just under 30 cards, or just over 30 cards for Polaris. So,
20,
staple on the card.
28.
Well, this is the number 28, but they've had squads. They've had a couple of other. I did the same thing, but they've had the squads cards weren't numbered cards. They were squads 1, squads 2. So yeah, really clean. Again, I would like to see the match with Jed Hue versus Ash Williams. Again, I watch Ash Williams on Polaris any day of the week. I'll watch Jed Hue on Polaris because we've covered him for all 10 of his Polaris appearances. We've talked about it. So, yeah, really, really great match. Any other stuff so far? We can go to the finals.
Nope.
We had Ellis Younger defeating Sam Quinn.
Finals.
We can go on to the final matches that we're going to talk about of this card. My bad.
I was like, these are the undercard matches.
Ellis Younger defeated Sam Quinn via rear naked choke. It was a short choke.
Yeah, Ellis Younger tried to do the reverse donkey guard that he likes to do so much. Mm-hmm. I have a friend that does that to me all the time. I hate that position.
I mean, it works. You have some.
It works.
I think they said, the kids are. It's like reverse guard, and then somebody said in the commentary, we used to call it donkey guard. Or like the kids call it reverse guard, we used to call it donkey guard or something. There was a great commentary comment. Again, Polaris has phenomenal commentary. I love listening to those folks. So they have a great perspective that they bring into the matches.
And then we had on the undercard, which was free on YouTube, we had Shane Fishman defeating Shane Curtis via twister. He hit a nasty ass twister too.
Yeah.
It was basically Shane Curtis was trying not to get his, he was kind of on his back, and he was trying to he reached back, and it didn't go well.
Yeah, twisters
didn't go well.
Great. So that was Polaris 28. It was fun. Again, the card was great. I'm excited for the next one in Paris. It'll be great.
It'll be fun.
So let's move on. Do you want to do main character first or who's number one? I think we do who's number one first.
Yeah.
Okay. So moving on to the preview of who's number 124. This happens on June 20th. You will be down in Austin, Texas for this card.
I will be.
Let's talk about the main event. We have Josh Saunders versus Gordon Ryan. Pretty late replacement for a main event. Like, Gordon usually gets announced a little further out. They build up and book a lot of the cards based around him because he brings the name and money.
They hadn't had. You mean it wasn't like they replaced? It was like they just added this match on at the last minute.
Usually for Gordon matches, we know like months in advance because Flow, and I think it's pretty public that most of the who's number one cards don't make really any money or much money except for the Gordon ones. The Gordon ones are the one that kind of keep the show apparently afloat from what we have heard. So it's weird that announced so
I'm happy
quick.
I bought my ticket before they announced it because
you got good seats too.
I did not know that Gordon Ryan was on this card.
So this is an interesting match, and so I talked about this on our pre-show a little bit. Josh Saunders is a brown belt technically out of Australia.
Yeah.
And he won trials, one of the first trials pretty handedly for the Asian and Oceanic trials, and has a really interesting coaching perspective. He's like HPLU coaching on Instagram.
He believes he can get you from white belt to brown belt in 2 years.
Yeah.
It took me only 10.
Yeah. He's again, big, strong guy, has some great attributes, has a really interesting thought process. I think that this is a great match for Gordon to take now for a bunch of reasons. First of all, you want to face a guy like Josh Saunders at this point in his career.
Yeah.
Because he's still pretty raw. He's still pretty, he's very good at what he does, but he has some areas where you can put him into deep water, and he doesn't have, the dynamism and depth of skill. Gordon Ryan has been a champion-level black belt longer than Saunders has been training.
Yeah.
As an interesting parallel, Saunders is making the same approach that Gordon took in his career, where it's yeah, man, I'm beating these really good guys without a lot of training, and I am going to take them in the area that I'm good.
Wasn't he a rugby guy?
I think so.
I think he was a rugby player.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's a phenomenal athlete. He's one of the better athletes at the weight class, by far. He is a freak athlete. But he's, I think, doing what Gordon did, where early career, yeah, man, I'm going to go and beat these legends as this young guy that doesn't have as much experience, but I can bring them into the area that I am good and beat them. And so the parallel is funny. I do think this will be the first time we've seen Gordon in a while. I think this is a warm-up match for him for ADCC.
Also, I think we're going to see a little Gordon, a smaller. Physically smaller Gordon.
I think that Saunders is going to be the larger man here by far and imposing. But we can talk about the dynamics of the matchup.
Yeah.
I think until someone shows me how you can beat Gordon, you would be dumb to pick against him. Until there's something unless you can beat Nicky Rod and break his foot, but even then didn't beat him unless you're in an overtime situation. Until someone can show me a pathway to beating Gordon that is not 2016 Felipe Pena. That is not a 8-year-old match or a 5-year-old match that he had this little problem here, or a match at Nogi Worlds 2018, a recent match with a modern Gordon with his modern skill set and his modern team and training. He is by far and away, he's been calling his submissions on the best guys in the world.
Yes.
He's in the room with Murgali and Big Dan, consistently beats everyone. I think Josh Saunders' best option here is to make Gordon tired and to lean on him.
Yeah.
And to put Gordon in a place where he gets a little tired, but that's also Gordon's thing.
But
Gordon's willing to get tired.
But also when Gordon gets there, he gets frustrated. And when you get him frustrated, sometimes you can get him. But then it's almost like he tries harder once he gets frustrated. Because there's guys in the past who have kind of frustrated him by not giving him what he wants. Mm-hmm. And you can tell that if you don't give him what he wants, he starts to get a little angry.
But he also figures out how to get what he wants.
Yeah.
And you see him kind of kick another gear up where it's cool, I can't get this. No, I'm definitely going to get this. And he does that elite athlete thing where it's cool, now it's all I'm going to get, and I'm actually going to get it, and I don't care what you're going to do. So he's a really special athlete in that respect. I think that's Saunders' best pathway to victory is just literally to try to impose on him. But we've never seen that work on Gordon.
No, we haven't.
Even when he was in 170 at EBI in the early days, you just can't impose on him physically. It's not really an issue that he has with his game. He has a phenomenal guard. He has a great butterfly guard. He has great sweeps. He has great top game. He has some of the best passing in the world. He has some of the best hand fighting to the back. He has some of the best pathways to the back. I think that he probably gets to Josh Saunders' back, and I think he probably rear naked chokes him. But Saunders could also push us into the legs, but that's not really an area we've seen Saunders.
Yeah.
We've seen him there.
But we haven't seen him really do anything substantial from that position.
Yeah, most of his wins are top position wins. Yeah. Kimura, armbar, Kimura, rear naked choke, those things. But it's an interesting matchup. Again, I think this is a matchup that, with Saunders' trajectory, Gordon wants to get done early.
Yeah.
So it's very much like the Floyd Mayweather and Canelo Alvarez. Floyd Mayweather beat Canelo very early in his career, and Canelo became a very different fighter in later years. I think Saunders very much has that same career trajectory where it's he's a guy you kind of want to get a beat on early and get a feel for early in his career, because 5 years from now, Gordon's going to be kind of at the tail end, the later end of his career. Saunders is going to be peaking and going up, into the mainstay in the prime of his career. Could be a very different match. So getting this match early, potentially is a really good, thoughtful thing for Gordon to do.
And it's a good warm up for ADCC.
Yeah, because Saunders brings some really heavy technical skills and a pressure and a pace that Gordon is going to want to feel for ADCC in competition. So I think it's good. We haven't seen Gordon in forever. We're kind of not sure where he is at, but we just haven't seen him in almost a year.
Yeah.
It's been a while. He's been off with injury, X, Y, and Z. So I'm happy we're seeing it before ADCC. You'd kind of be dumb to not pick him.
Yeah.
But Saunders does have a pathway to victory here. It's just until someone shows me that they can do it on Gordon, there's no reason not to pick Ryan here in this matchup. So it's fun, though. I'm excited for it. Next match, we have Victor Hugo was going to be versus Luke Griffith. I was really excited about that match. That was two big guys going at it. I hope they do rebook that match because it's a really interesting match. But he is now going against Javier Zertuski, who got announced as the ADCC replacement in under 99.
Yeah.
Yeah. He is the IBJJF world champion. You pulled it up on the pre-show that he got that win over Trator at the championship, at the world championships for IBJJF. Really, that was actually a fun match. That was an impressive match where he triangles Trator off of like a really interesting sweep. Victor Hugo.
Yeah.
Victor Hugo is bigger than Javier.
Yeah.
And he is Victor Hugo. And he beat Nick Rodriguez recently. I think Javier has a more dynamic sub-game off his back, but I think that Victor Hugo will be the one here playing the guard.
Yeah.
And very few people in the world can deal with Victor Hugo's guard. That's kind of my dynamic for the match. It's like Zertuski could do something. Could absolutely, like, he is world class. He's a world champion in the IBJJF and Nogi, but so is Victor Hugo. And I'm honestly as well. I'm also more familiar with Victor Hugo's game, I'm more comfortable picking him. It'll be nice to see Javier here in this match now that he has been announced for ADCC.
Yeah, so we have a little bit more of something to work with.
Okay, so we can look back at his early match. Go, oh, he does this and this and this. But right now, Victor Hugo has looked. He beat Big Dan.
Yeah.
He beat Nick Rodriguez. Like, you're kind of going through all the big guys in the world. I think that Javier is not quite as big and imposing as those guys. It would be an upset for sure. But it'd be fun. Fun to see Victor Hugo in here again. Any other kind of pieces?
Nope.
Next one. This is aside from the main event. Actually, there's a bunch of matches on this card I'm amped for. Diego Pato Oliveira versus Fabricio Andre for the featherweight belt.
Yeah.
Pato has been looking nigh unstoppable.
Yes.
At who's number one and in everything else.
But Fabricio Andre.
I love Fabricio Andre. He didn't have the best performance at the World Championships. Yeah. Pato, did he win? Right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I think he won.
But Pato won. Didn't he win? Did he win featherweight?
He won whatever division he was in.
Yeah.
I always mix it up. I think featherweight. Yeah.
I always think Pato's tiny, but he's not.
He's not.
He's like second to tiny.
So this is actually for the featherweight belt. Currently at who's number one, Pato has both the featherweight belt that he beat when he got Baby Shark, when Baby Shark got injured in the match, but Pato was kind of well on his way to winning that match anyway. And then he heel hooked Dante Leon for the lightweight belt. This is back down at featherweight versus Fabricio Andre. Fabricio Andre plays an even more dynamic game than Dante Leon. I know they've fought each other before.
I'm sure.
I'm going to go Pato here. Pato in the last 6 months has looked absolutely unstoppable.
AOJ.
Yeah. AOJ Pato. Like, Pato was already one of the best guys in the world. That move to AOJ has just further elevated his game. Now, does he submit Fabricio Andre? I don't know. But I absolutely think we see a matrix guard back take. I think we see Fabricio Andre at least a little bit of this onto the back foot, and we see Pato enter the legs. It really wouldn't surprise me to see Pato get a heel hook win over Fabricio Andre.
You think so?
It necessarily wouldn't surprise me, but like...
I'm going to give Fabricio.
Is there a reason? Or you like to pick the underdog?
I like to pick the underdog, but...
You think dynamism in passing?
Yeah.
You think movement? You think speed?
I think passing, but
that's my only kind of reserve here is like
just because he has the ability to pass people that are significantly larger than him. Like he kind of has the ability to learn someone's game and then be able to beat it.
In the moment he's a very good in moment in match adjuster in that respect.
And I think like how do you prepare for someone like him? Because he's kind of well-rounded all around. Mm-hmm. So what do you like? If you're going against Levi Jones Leary, then you work on.
What are you gonna do? He's gonna bolo you.
Bolo
Newsflash.
defense, you know.
Yeah.
But like, if you were gonna go against Fabricio Andre, how would you? You would just roll hard, like.
And get fast guys that are super technical.
He's also able to change his pace or change what he's doing.
He's got good flying attacks.
Yeah.
But so you go for Fabricio for his dynamism.
Yeah.
I'm going Pato because even when guys adjust, I think Pato also has shown the ability to adjust.
Yeah.
And I
He's
kind of think he gets his leg.
Okay.
I just think Pato has been looking so good on the leg locks. His major countries to the back. And then, the way that he got Dante Leon and just the step ahead of Leon that he was, I don't know if he can get that far ahead of Fabricio Andre, but I kind of think he does because I think he's just been so rapidly improving on those like entries into the outside heel hook there. Yeah, I think Pato retains via sub. Again, Fabricio Andre is world class. He could absolutely take it too. But again, it's my picks. I don't bet against the champion. I never bet against the champion almost.
Speaking of Dante Leon, did you see he randomly was at the Dallas Open and won?
No, I did not see that.
He did the Dallas Open.
Good for Dante.
He just like
he's announced for ADCC, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he got announced already.
Yeah, but I mean, he just put himself in there, and I was like, you do that. You put yourself in a tournament and mess.
A lot of those guys. Some of those guys don't, but a lot of those guys still do. A lot of those guys are still out there grinding on like the more local regional tournaments to just get that experience because they want to get in there. They want to keep winning. Yeah. And not just do the majors.
The finals match was him versus Jet Thompson.
Ooh, I need to go back and watch that. That'll be fun.
And I think he took Jet Thompson's back, if I remember correctly.
That wouldn't surprise me at all.
But yeah.
That's exciting. So that would be this matchup. Let's talk about the next one. This was going to be Jacob Couch versus Francisco Lowe. Francisco Lowe got removed, even though he was half removed from the poster already for some reason because someone screwed up the opacity on the previous poster.
Yeah, so he looked ghostly.
He looked like a ghost in the first poster. And then like the next day he got announced that he was removed. And I was like, that's kind of weird timing.
I think he kind of said after his run at Worlds that he blew his ACL.
Yeah, it looked like he got it kicked out in the finals match.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
The guy very quickly kicked his knee out.
But I think they had trained together. That was a training partner of his. Oh. And I'm pretty sure Francisco Lowe came into the tournament with a fucked up ACL.
That wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
He's been covered in tape for a long time.
And that it was
wouldn't surprise me.
And that it was a because that was his training. Like I remember reading that, and I was like, "Oh, your training partner was like, haha."
Your training partner knew. That's dirty. So we now have Jacob Couch versus John Gracie. Speaking of guys with a lot of experience on the number one stage, Jacob Couch I think has the most either behind Gordon Ryan or more than Gordon Ryan. Like he has a lot of experience on who's number one.
Jonathan's been taking everybody out.
Yeah, I mean, we just saw him versus J-Rod on the Fight Pass Invitational, and that was a very good match. That John just looked amazing in.
Yeah. And we saw Jonathan take Nicky Ryan out.
Oh yeah,
he took Nicky Ryan out right before then. So I think
I'm kind of picking Jacob Couch. I like Jacob Couch.
He's
my guy.
I like Jacob Couch too, but Jonathan has been on a trajectory of like I will take everyone out.
I think Jacob Couch does heel hooks real good.
Yeah, that is true.
I think it looks like the Elder Cruz match, and then Jacob Couch gets underneath him and does a good heel hook.
Okay.
It's for the middleweight belt.
Yeah.
Again, Jacob Couch is that dude has given me some of the best interviews. He's just so nice. It's like this is where I try as an analyst to be clouded.
He's an awesome guy.
But every time we talk to that dude, it's just like, God, you're just a good dude.
He got mad at you the one time because you didn't say hi to him.
I know, because I didn't want to bother. I didn't want. We were in the hotel lobby. And we were walking between the rooms and the venue in Atlantic City for trials. And he was still competing. He was doing stuff, and it was day 2.
Yeah.
And it was like I always try not to bother the athletes when they are competing still. Like I'll do the best I can. Sometimes I need to if I'm looking for an interview. I hang an interview later, like some small talk with some of the athletes. But I try to let them go out there and do that. And so he was walking with some people. Yeah. And I was like, I don't want to bother Jacob Couch while he's walking to wherever he's going. He's like, hey, and he got mad at me for like not saying hi. And I was like, I don't want to bother you. I'm sorry, Jacob Couch. But that dude's awesome. John Gracie has looked phenomenal. Like you said, looked phenomenal. Took out both J-Rod and Nicky Ryan, who are again. Nicky Ryan is one of the most technical dudes in the game, in the sport. I kind of just think that Jacob Couch, the area that he is good is the area that historically Jonathan Gracie has not liked the most, which is the leg lock.
That's because his knees.
He's got kind of wonky knees. I think Jonathan Gracie has great top pressure. He has a great guard game, but Jacob Couch, I think, also has a great guard game. I think Couch is probably more comfortable in no-gi.
Yeah.
Because that's all he does
That's
nowadays. Jonathan Gracie, again, world class, but I just think that Couch is going to get on your leg.
Yeah.
Like, he is so strong and so powerful that at one point he's going to be able to get onto the leg of Jonathan Gracie. I think that when he is able to do that, he will be able to finish.
He got onto the leg of Gordon Ryan for a minute.
Yo, I remember that, yeah.
For a minute.
And then Gordon was like, I got to put you down. I'm sorry. Yeah. Like, you can do it on Gordon. Like, that is kind of my thought. I think Jonathan Gracie absolutely has a top game position and a control game that you can play. Again, like we saw in Jacob Couch versus Gordon Ryan. Like, you can control Jacob Couch from the top, but we also saw J-Rod versus Jacob Couch, and Jacob Couch just kind of flattened J-Rod that entire matchup. Yeah. And then we saw just recently J-Rod versus Jonathan Gracie, and Jonathan Gracie had a more difficult time kind of dealing with J-Rod in that sort of triangle of matchmaking. I really think that Jacob Couch matches up better with Jonathan Gracie. Not better, maybe, because Jonathan Gracie has a more diverse skill set.
Yeah.
I just think that Jacob Couch has a shotgun of a heel hook.
Yeah.
And it'll be really hard to get away. Watching Jonathan Gracie do like a top position pressure, like stifling game on Couch wouldn't surprise me either. Like, it would surprise me a little bit, honestly. Yeah. I can see a pathway to victory for Jonathan Gracie doing it that way, but I do think that Couch will have opportunities to make things happen, and he'll be willing. He now has fixed his diet. His cardio's looked really good. I think that we're going to get a Couch that can push the pace like we saw him at East Coast Trials. I kind of think we're going to get that same guy, and that guy is not a guy I really want to bet against in a super fight.
I'm just going to go dark horse. I'll go John just for dark horse.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jacob. I still like you.
I think, but it'll be. I think this will be a fun match. Yeah. Next match we have Tynan Doppler versus Jay Rodriguez. You gave me your thought on the pre-show.
I don't go against Tynan.
Yeah,
I really don't.
It's no-gi, but
I don't go against Tynan. Tynan.
I would if J-Rod was a more diligent leg walker.
Yeah.
If J-Rod, like... The funny thing is, J-Rod has no idea who Tynan is.
Yeah.
Which I think is... Which is like... And it's not like a mean thing. It's just like he just doesn't know the guys he competes against. And like, you compete against Tynan, he's like, I don't know who that is. I know he's good.
Yeah.
But I don't know who that is.
I just think Tynan keeps on looking better and better in no-gi as time goes on.
He's more comfortable in no-gi. Yeah, I just... Watching Jay Rodriguez, like, he's going to try to throw a buggy choke at one point. Yeah. I don't think Tynan gets caught with that. I don't see a pathway here for J-Rod to win other than if he can just consistently out-wrestle Tynan.
Yeah.
And Tynan continues to go into the wrestling. But I think eventually he will play guard, and eventually he will be able to do something from the guard to Jay Rodriguez, either get the back or either... Like, he will be able to make something happen. And Jay Rodriguez is phenomenal, has phenomenal defense.
Yeah. And he does have the ability to, flash sub anyone.
Yeah.
I just think Tynan's going to be really hard to put down.
Who's the last guy we've seen beat Tynan? It wasn't Jansen Gomez in the gi. It's always in the gi. But, like, who's other than that? Like, it's...
Micah back in the day. Didn't Micah beat him at like purple belt?
It's been a while. And again, no-gi is an entirely different, it's really a different sport. You just happen to cover them both because a lot of the athletes will transfer between the two sports. But I don't see a consistent pathway for Jay Rodriguez to beat this other than he just puts up an overwhelming amount of offense of just pace. And Tynan is unable to keep that pace without slowing it down in the gi. But Tynan, we haven't really seen have problems with pace in the gi. That is, I think, my pathway to victory. Or Jay Rodriguez can just flash get his back and Brianna could choke him, which Jay Rodriguez almost did to Bodoni. Like, he can do it. But I think this kind of looks much more like the Jacob Couch match versus J-Rod, where it is probably going to be Tynan on top of J-Rod, controlling. He's going to be able to pass his guard. I don't know if he's able to sub Jay Rodriguez because Jay Rodriguez is insanely hard to put away. It wouldn't really surprise me, but it would probably have to be with a rear naked choke. I doubt he's going to get an armbar because Mika couldn't armbar him.
Yeah.
But I don't really see a pathway for J-Rod to, like, from a technical perspective, be able to beat Daupra.
No.
And that's, like, unfortunate because, like, I would like to be able to talk through that, like, that thought process. Tynan is just so good.
I don't think J-Rod is going to have the ability to pass Daulpra's guard if Daulpra just goes to guard. I don't think J-Rod can pass him.
I am kind of curious, though. One thing we're, I think, glazing over a little bit is the nogi. Yeah. It's like Daupra doesn't have that much competition nogi experience. He's doing it at AOJ, but he's primarily been a gi guy forever. And so this will be one of, like, what, his third or fourth nogi match ever? Like, he doesn't...
But we watched J-Rod have a harder time passing Jonatas's guard, and I would say Tynan has a better guard than Jonatas.
I would agree. So it's... And I think Jonatas, is he bigger than Daupra, or Daupra the same size?
They're all the same size, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, again, I wish I had more to kind of talk about. I think this will be more interesting to see how Tynan deals without having the gi for a guy as dynamic as J-Rod.
And how he deals with the wrestling.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be not, J-Rod's going to have a wrestling advantage.
Yes,
on
absolutely.
his feet of Tynan.
Yeah, because there's no grips, he would just be more comfortable in that space.
Well, Tynan's wrestling, we have seen it.
It's good.
It's good, but it's very simple. It's not, it's going in for a single leg and finishing your single leg. It's not single leg to duck under to
there's some craft to it, and there's some turns to it. Yeah. But J-Rod is just he's a good wrestler. He's a very good wrestler. Yeah. And
he's in a room with a bunch of guys who beat the living crap out of him every day.
In wrestling.
Yeah. So he knows how to transition from takedown to takedown to takedown. Yeah. So I feel like if anything, they get stifled in their feet, Tynan pulls. J-Rod's not going to be able to pass it.
Yeah, and that's kind of he's gonna get stuck in a range with Tynan.
Yeah,
is my only thought. Now, the way that Jansen Gomez passed is a way that possibly J-Rod could pass because he does a similar pass, but I just don't think that Daupra is gonna make the same mistake twice because nothing in his career ever states that he's gonna do that. So, yeah, I think that Daupra takes it. I think either by a pretty clean decision or by like a rear naked choke. But I kind of would be surprised. I go 50-50. Seeing him submitted wouldn't be super surprising to me. Seeing him take a decision wouldn't be super surprising to me. It's just have seen J-Rod sub his way phenomenally though out of high level matches. It's an interesting one for sure. There's a lot of X factors in the match. Yeah. So next match we'll talk Ana Rodriguez versus. Do you have anything more on that? By the way, sorry, I don't want to cut you off there. Ana Rodriguez versus Adele Fornarino. Give me the name, Miranda. Fornarino. That extra N always screws me up. Trials winner versus trials winner.
Yep.
Essentially is what this match is. A-Rod has been looking great recently. Adele has been looking great recently. Yeah. This will be a benchmarking for women's. Is it under 55 or is it?
It's under.
What weight class are they in?
I think they're under 55.
Yeah, under 55. Yeah. So this will be a benchmarking for like basically who's going to get seated where for under 55.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Adele has some arm bars.
Adele has a really good guard and really good arm bars. A-Rod
she's much more of a crushy person.
Yeah,
like
but
crush through you.
She will also play when she's up. She will play the guard and kind of stifle your game. Whereas Adele will tend to be a little more action oriented and submission hungry. Ana Rodriguez can absolutely do that, but it's a bit of a clash of styles in the way that like Anna is, I think, much more IBJJF focused. Yeah. And Adele, we've seen much more in the no-gi side of things.
Anna was very much so gi focused until trials.
Yeah.
Trials was her first no-gi competition.
Was it really?
That's what they said.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it's true or not.
I remember we looked that up, and then we think that it was true, actually. Yeah. Again, I actually have a hard time. I kind of want to go...
I want to go Adele
here on this one, just for the no-gi experience, and because I've been really happy with the way that we've seen her like hunt. Yeah. And I think in the Who's Number One,
her matches don't last very long.
No, they're very quick.
None of them do.
Yeah, really good flash subs, and I think in the Who's Number One, she's attacking more. Yeah. That will lead to, in the period system, a much more consistent methodology for victory. And Rodriguez can get front running, but I think that Adele is going to be in it, unless Anna can put her away, will be in it long enough to be able to push it into her favor and win a decision here. Or win a sub.
Yeah.
Next match, we have Elijah Dorsey versus Joseph Chen.
This is going to depend on something. And
yeah.
I'm just going to call it out. It's going to depend on what the stalling rules are for this match. Because I see...
Dorsey, especially in Nogi.
Dorsey...
He plays a slow... Methodical game.
It is the TLI game.
Yep.
Where they get 2 points on you and then they run from you for an entire match.
Yeah.
It's been known throughout the community that this is what they do.
Yeah.
They play to the rule set.
Yeah. And they win in the rule set.
And they win the rule set.
In this rule set, though, it's a little different. We saw Dorsey, again, most impressively beat Nicky Ryan at
East Coast Trials.
And
he beat Maximilian
Hansen. After Hansen had that week of PGF, though.
Yeah,
that was
a weird one.
Yeah. I want to benchmark that, and it's like,
yeah,
but it was a weird one where it's like Max came in super diminished.
Yeah,
in that
Max
matchup.
was kind of beat up all week before.
Yeah, and I don't want to take anything away from either guy, but it was like I don't know how much of a good benchmark that was to get a see of like how we know how good Max is. Like, well, you beat him up for 30 matches in a week. Like that's not going to be the same guy on a Saturday competing against a guy like Elijah Dorsey who hasn't been beat up for a week.
It's going to depend on the pacing because I think Joseph Chen is super, not explosive. He's super dynamic in his movement and he can really start some like crazy progressions on you and some crazy passes and kind of loop a pass into something else.
But he can also get stifled a little bit too. Joseph Chen has a lot of parallels to Nicky Ryan in his game.
Yeah.
It's not quite as refined as Nicky Ryan, but it's very similar in a lot of respects. And we saw the result of Elijah Dorsey versus Nicky Ryan. But I think that Joseph Chen will potentially make a few more little mistakes here and there, but also will be willing to like let it rip in other places where Nicky Ryan won't.
Yeah, I think Joseph Chen is a little more apt to like kind of say
let the chips fall.
Let's see what happens and maybe try something that exposes his back or with the thought that if I get it, I get it. If I don't, like screw it, I can get out of that position. You know?
And Dorsey's a guy that can absolutely capitalize on those moments very, very well. And that's kind of my question.
Yeah, and that's where we wonder about the rule set because like let's say Joseph Chen tries something and then he gets put on the bottom and Elijah Dorsey's on top of him. I could 1,000% tell you that they will probably tell him to sit there and not do anything and just hold him down for
chest to chest, pass, move, and like control him from the top because that's what they've done.
If there isn't a stalling rule, then that's fine. If there's a stalling rule, they're going to make Dorsey start to move.
Yeah.
Once he starts to move, Joseph Chen, all he needs is that movement to then restart his attacks and his escapes and his ways to get out. So it's going to depend on how active Elijah Dorsey is once he gets into a position that he really wants to be in.
More movement here favors Chen. Long term, the ability to lock things down is Dorsey's game. He does it very, very well. This is one I could I really can see going either way. Like seeing Elijah Dorsey control Chen for the entire match and really stifle him.
I could also see
Elijah
Dorsey pull what some other gentlemen in the division do, which is they stay at that long range and they play at him.
The Pedro Marino game?
Yeah, and they play in and then they play back out.
We kind of saw him do that versus Nicky Ryan.
Yeah, and that way Joseph Chen
enough activity.
But I think Joseph Chen at that point is going to be like, fuck it, I'm going to try to get up. Or he's going to engage. He's going to force the engagement where the other guys are more calculated so they don't really want to give up. You know, like Nicky Ryan doesn't want to give up what he already has. So he doesn't, he's not going to do that engagement because there's a possibility that's not going to work. Where I think Joseph Chen is still new enough in his career that he's like, fuck it, let's see what happens.
He'll lay it all out there and usually for him that ends in his favor because he's very good and very talented. The dynamics of this matchup are really interesting. It's very much it's a style clash. Could be a really exciting match, could be a much slower match. Both guys have very good finishes. I think Dorsey has a better positional game, but Chen definitely has a better scramble game by far. So it'll be a lot of fun. Do you have a pick here or no?
I'm going to go Joseph Chen.
Yeah. I think in the who's number one, the activity will be the factor here. I would like to see Chen here because a winning Chen in this match will make for a more interesting match. So I'd like to see that match. Next match, we have an old school rematch. DeAndre Corbet versus Ethan Krellenstein. These guys met back in
I'm looking it up right now.
One of the early Toro Cups.
Yeah, like a Toro Cup back in the day.
Yeah, back when was that?
That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, we got a message from it too.
Yeah.
It was Toro Cup 2017.
2017.
Yep. This might have even predated the podcast. This might have been a Toro Cup we didn't break down because it was July. It was July. It was June. So this predates the Grappling Rewind. That's how long ago this was. So Ethan, I think, was a purple belt back then, before he even had a BJJ Heroes page and all that stuff. It's a brown belt. It's the only
because I don't see him.
It's
not on his BJJ Heroes.
Yeah, and so Ethan Krellenstein for years was the only BJJ Heroes guy that was not a black belt that had a page. But because he was such a notable brown belt, they were like, we have to give you a page because there's a bunch of records that we can't tie you to.
Yeah.
And you're going against all these high level black belts. Like, we have to break our rule and do it for you. I've done it a couple of times since then. But it was still, Ethan was the first guy where they went, yeah, we have to give you a page. So this match even predates that. I have no idea, Miranda. I've been thinking about this for days, and I'm just like, you can't think about the 2017 match.
Yeah.
Because that match was literally like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
7
And that was a
years ago.
different DeAndre Corbet.
And a different Ethan Krellenstein.
Yeah. That was before probably the ecological
approach that they've taken. Yeah, absolutely.
I think that was before the
Ethan was still TriStar.
Yeah.
Like, this is a way old matchup, so it's like, it's essentially like looking at guys. They were color belts.
Yeah.
I was like, so like, look at color belt matches. Like, that's what it was for them.
Yeah.
It was two guys that were like back in the day. And
it's Canada versus Canada.
Oh, snap, it is.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Because DeAndre
it's Canada.
holds the Canada
the Canada flag.
Yeah,
flies the Canada.
Which I'm like, I didn't know he was Canadian, but
I love Ethan. I love his game.
Yeah.
I kind of want to go DeAndre here.
I'm gonna go Ethan.
Any reason? Gut pick?
I think Ethan has been. I think
he
DeAndre
has been competing more recently.
I think
actually.
DeAndre has. I mean, he did win, so I can't really hold that against him. But he has been notably going against higher level competition within the last few years. And I think Ethan's been doing it forever. And I think Ethan has a longer kind of.
He has a larger depth of experience at the highest level.
Yes.
He's been to ADCC a bunch of times. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, he's been around. He's been around the block for a long time. And I hope he makes a comment.
I hate betting against Ethan. DeAndre's local to us, so it's like we've watched his career kind of very, very rapidly like advance. I want to come back to this actually.
If I went against DeAndre Corbet, I would wear a Drillers or Killers or something like that.
That's
rash guard, just because.
That's really funny. This was. I think this would be an action-packed matchup. I think there will be a lot of wrestling. I think eventually someone will get taken down.
Yeah.
Will be willing to play to the guard. Seeing someone pass to the back would kind of surprise me. I think both guys have a phenomenal regard and can track the hips very, very well. We're going to see both these guys at under 66 in ADCC, so this is a precursor to that match.
Yeah.
It will be a benchmarking and a rankings match for those guys, probably.
My thing is, the only time I've ever really seen, the times that I've seen Ethan have problems are when people like I would not overstimulate, but
overwhelm him?
They overwhelm, not even overwhelm, but they tire him out. They do like the door. It was Dorian, right?
Dorian Oliveira's beat him. But that was also like a weird one where Dorian didn't get called for stalling because he was doing enough, but he wasn't really doing a ton.
If DeAndre plays that game, if he takes Ethan down or Ethan sits, and then he plays at a long range and doesn't really engages enough to not be not doing anything, but
I think I'm going Ethan. I think you've changed my mind.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying.
If he does that, then it becomes a boring match. But at that point, no one wins because you have to have attacks. So then how is he going? He's going to have to engage with Ethan.
I think Ethan has a more attacking style than DeAndre does. And DeAndre tends to like to lock positions down and then transition into something. Whereas Ethan will.
And how are you going to hold Ethan down? He's like an iron wiggle worm.
Yeah, I mean, look at the match that he had versus. I'm trying to think of other matches that Ethan has had problems with, like the second Cade match, but that was Cade right before he became the champion, and like we didn't really realize how good Cade had gotten. And then the match with Josh Saunders at ADCC, and even then that was a good back and forth match, and Saunders is super high level. Yeah, I think the depth of experience that Ethan has and the attacking style, like the attacking style of his game for the who's number one. Again, I don't think either of these guys will put each other away.
Yeah,
like they're both good leg lockers. They're both good everywhere. Yeah. And I think that Ethan's style is going to be a very even matchup because Ethan attacks more and attacks more subs. I think that in the who's number, he's also more familiar with who's number one. He knows he's been there for years. I think I give the edge to Ethan there because of the experience and the stylistic way that he's going to approach the matchup. Watching DeAndre also kind of flatten him and like be able to essentially in quotes here, like outpoint him. Yeah, wouldn't really surprise me. It surprised me a little bit. Yeah, but it is a methodology for DeAndre to get the victory. But I think Ethan's style is better here.
Also Ethan is strong as hell. Like he's
he's getting big for ADCC like he did last time, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be hard to hold him down and keep his hips down and keep him kind of flattened into the mat.
It'll be fun though. A couple of matches we have on the card. We have Ali Wosik versus Natalie Santoro.
Not Wolski.
Wolski.
Yeah.
Versus Natalie Santoro, Gordon's girlfriend. We haven't seen Santoro in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Early Kasai, I think, is the last time.
She did the New York Open once. One of my friends went against her.
Oh, yeah.
But
I think she's purple belt, a brown belt now. Might be a brown belt now, I think.
I think she's a brown belt now.
Yeah.
She might even be a black belt. I
think she's a brown belt still.
Do you think she's a brown belt?
Yeah, I think so. Again, we just haven't seen Santoro since she was a late blue belt.
She really doesn't post much jiu-jitsu stuff.
It's more other endeavors. So
Bikinis,
a lot of those.
Yes.
I really can't comment. We know Wolsick is good.
Yeah.
But we just haven't seen
Wolski.
Why do I keep calling her Wolsick?
Because you're thinking Chris Wolchik or Wojcik.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Ali is very good.
She's B team. She's B team.
I believe so, yeah.
Because she went against Lauren Sears.
Who's 10th Planet?
On the last card, one of the last cards that we covered. Yep. Remember? We watched it. She got knee barred, and you were all excited about the knee bar.
Oh, that was EBI.
That was her getting knee barred.
Okay.
She's a B team person.
Yeah. Okay. Again, we haven't seen Santoro in 4 years.
Yeah.
I have no idea how her game has changed. I assume she's at B team. She is very good.
Not B team.
Sorry, she's at New Wave.
Yes.
She is very good. But I don't have anything to comment. It'll be interesting to see her back on the card. We also have Angel DeGraff versus Jordan Holy. I think this is a rematch. Should be fun. Should be action-packed. Both guys have great sub-games. Holy has just a great leg lock arsenal and heel hook game that's always fun to see. Can get stifled now and again, but when he gets it going, it is a force to be reckoned with. We have Lauren Sears versus Taylor Highshaw as well in this card. Lauren Sears has been looking very good.
The knee bar over Ali Wolski at EBI.
The 10th anniversary show was impressive. It was a really neat knee bar. And she looked very good in that match. We've seen her repeatedly in the last couple of years look very, very good at all the ADCC trials. Like really, really great improvements recently. And we also have Felipe Costa versus Declan Moody.
Yeah.
This is an underrated one you should watch.
Felipe Costa is Little Orange.
Yeah. Victor Hugo's guy, Lovato's guy, Sanji's guy. He's a young black belt. We've covered him. So my first interaction with him was when Zach and I did commentary for Copa Elite. He won the first Copa Elite.
Oh, yeah.
He was this Brazilian guy that flew in.
He was the one that they were like, oh, we have this guy.
We have this Brazilian kid come in.
Yeah.
And I was like, who's that guy? And then it was Felipe Costa. And then Felipe Costa crushed everyone. And we're like, okay. And I interviewed Felipe Costa and went, this guy's going to get really good and do a lot of good stuff. And he since has medaled at Worlds, has become very good. And he's going against Declan Moody, who's a B-team guy that we know, who won trials.
Yeah.
And I am really excited for this match. Costa is he's primarily a gi guy, but he does do a fair share of no gi.
Yeah.
Declan is a no gi guy. I don't really have a good pick for this match. This will be a fun match. These are two guys early in their career that are going to make big waves in the scene.
Yeah.
So this will be I have a feeling that this match will be a match that will look back in like 2 or 3 years and be like, oh, that was an opener for this. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I think both those guys have that kind of trajectory in the sport. This is a really cool match to get early in their career.
Yes, I believe so.
I can't make a pick, but this is a underrated sleeper good match.
So, and that is who's number 124 in Austin on Thursday night.
Is it Thursday night?
It's Thursday night because I fly in that day.
Okay.
And then I have to do
work.
A couple hours of work, and then I'm hoping I can just take an Uber from.
You're trying to take a Margali class?
No. The Margali class I'm going to take is Monday morning.
Okay.
Because I fly in Thursday, I have to do a couple hours of work, and then I'm going to get an Uber from the UT Law School. So if you live near there and you want to drive me, no, just kidding. To who's number 1.
Well, you're kidding, but you're also like, that's totally real offer.
I'm totally, you could drive me there if you want to. Because if not, I have to get an Uber. And I go to who's number 1, and then I got to go back to law school seminar for the rest of the weekend.
So on June 23rd, when you're also in Austin,
I'm also in Austin.
We had you buy tickets again for main character. I was like, Miranda, you're here. You're like,
well,
I know.
Because for a second, I was like, oh no, like this is a long weekend, and I got a lot of stuff. And then I was like, if I don't take an extra day, then I don't get to take the Margali 6 a.m. gi class, which, like, after my gi experience tonight, I really don't want to be doing no gi.
We had a fine gi round, Miranda.
We did, but
it was a great round.
Everybody messed me up in the gi pretty bad tonight.
You landed your face into my face, and it was not very comfortable.
But that's normal jiu-jitsu.
It is. So main character is June 23rd. Just 3 matches on this one we're going to talk about. Andy Varela versus Joseph Chen.
Yeah.
So we talked a bunch on the pre-show about this, and I had a bunch of points to make, and I've forgotten most of them at this point.
I think you thought that Andy Varela was going to be more explosive and more dominant.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was saying that I was like, okay, I think Varela is going to be bigger than Chen.
Yeah.
He's going to be stronger than Chen. He's going to be more dynamic. He's going to be more explosive than Chen.
Yeah.
And that was sort of what my thought with the matchup was.
But I think Chen has an ability to be explosive, and we saw that in East Coast European trials.
The first European,
where he can turn it on
in like the Langard match and the Taza match,
and he can get some stuff started.
Yeah,
and I think we sometimes see Andy Varela unable to really take advantage of some of the spots he's in.
If he can't torpedo you, if Andy Varela can't overwhelm you, we can sometimes see him get put into weird technical battles where he seems to not be like the most comfortable.
Yeah. Like if he can't slap you in the face a couple times and make you worried about
that and like worry about the club and he can't get you off of your game and pull you out of it,
then he has a little bit of a problem then getting his game started and being able to capitalize on what he creates.
Varela kind of needs you to fear him a little bit, and he can make most guys do that.
He needs to bully you.
And there's a lot of guys that have that style of game, and it works very well for them. I don't think that's gonna bother Joseph Chen.
No, because he's probably in the room with all
Nick
the
Rodriguez. Yeah, I mean, he was talking shit to Nick Rodriguez prior to Quintet when they were going to walk out, and he's like, "Yeah, Nick Rodriguez is not the guy you do that to," because Nick Rodriguez was like turning it up on Joseph Chen in the back when they were warming it up, because Joseph Chen was like commentating and talking shit like casually during their round. It's. I think that. I initially in my head was like, "Oh, this is probably Varela," and then I thought about Chen's game more and what your points were of. Yeah, he's not going to be the strongest. He's not going to be bigger, but those aren't really things that in Chen's game that he relies on.
Yeah, he doesn't really rely on any of those things. Yeah. He relies on his movement, his scrambles.
Right.
His ability to get somewhere before you get there. Mm-hmm. And his ability to change his game plan in the moment. And I
kind of think versus a guy like Varela, that's going to play a little bit counter to what Varela wants to be doing, where he just wants to be overwhelming you. If he can do that, he can crush most of the field.
It's also going to depend on what happens with Elijah Dorsey.
Yeah, I think that's a good. It's like 2 days before.
Yeah,
3 days before.
That could create a problem.
Yeah. Again, I kind of want to go Chen here.
I want to go Chen.
I think that Chen will be able to make the in-match adjustments that he needs to deal with the pressure and like force of Varela.
Yeah.
And Varela has like has some great pieces of his game and can put people away and has great submissions.
But I think even if Andy, because Andy likes to teleport to people's backs, I think that Joseph Chen could almost re-teleport. He could almost like go after Andy
like the Taza match. We saw that in European trials. He did the same thing versus Taza.
Yeah, he could start the attack on Joseph's back and just be like, haha, I'm getting your back, and then all of it just appear there and not, he has that sort of.
That's kind of what I think. Honestly, that is sort of, I think, will happen during this match. I could see, it would not surprise me to have Chen be able to take Varella's back. Now, question, does it go to EBI style overtime with main character?
That's true.
Because they've changed their stuff. If it goes to EBI style overtime, Varela has so much experience there, but also Chen is very, very good, but he's also a powerhouse.
But we also saw Andy Varela destroy people from that position at PGF.
Yeah.
Like, destroy you from that position.
Yeah.
And it might even be smart for Andy Varela to wear out Joseph Chen in this match.
Especially if they had a big match a couple days
before.
And
then take it to overtime and then just kill him in overtime.
Again, this is an interesting, it's a stylistic like kind of call to make here. I lean Chen regulation. I lean Varela if it does end up in an overtime situation.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
But Chen again has been improving rapidly over the last couple of years. For Varela, he's improving, but he's a very known quantity. We know what he brings to the table.
Yeah.
Chen consistently kind of brings new things has been bringing new things to the table because his training environment is so like disparate and diverse in so many different places. He may not be getting the consistency he needs, but Chen is also individually motivated enough and has been used to that style of training where it doesn't seem to hamper his improvement.
Yeah.
I assume also have Dima in his corner.
Oh,
and
yeah,
Dima
true.
is like a master strategist.
Yeah.
Like quietly, low key, just a phenomenal
I could also
strategist.
see like Andy Varela does a really hard collar tie and Joseph Chen like flying arm bars and or does something crazy.
Does something like wild. So I think it'll be a fun match. I think this is the main event.
It is.
Deservedly so. It should be. Should be very fun. Anything else on this one?
Nope.
Next one we have Helena Crevar versus Jillian Knoll. We looked up. You remembered actually on the pre-show when we were kind of going through all the names. Jillian Knoll is the Combat Jiu-Jitsu Medusa champion.
Yes.
She is the woman that lost to Alex Enriquez, and then due to Enriquez's injury, got put back in and was able to win that entire tournament as a result of that. We just talked about how good Helena Crevar was versus Jessika Torttila on Polaris. I'm going Crevar here.
Yeah, I'm going Crevar.
Unless your name is Fionn Davies or Brianna State Marie, or like unless you are a number 1 through 4 in the world.
I think Jillian's going to be very hard to put down.
Yeah.
Because
she has to get it in the background.
Yeah, if we remember her.
She's tough.
Medusa, she's tough.
But I just think that Crevar
can find a way.
Crevar has been getting so good so quickly. Her guard game, I think if Jillian is in the guard of Crevar, which I think Crevar here will pull, and then you're playing in Crevar's guard, and you are not one of the top 4 women in the world.
Yeah, you're going to get stuck by
like Jessika Torttila is one of the best in the world at her weight class. Champion level, like European champion, astonishing grappler, and Helena Crevar was able to really put her in a bad way and almost finish her at the end of that match. I think that we see something similar here. It wouldn't surprise me to see a triangle from Crevar early or an armbar from the side here early for Crevar. Or she's going to prioritize taking her back and get there. I think Jillian Knoll has good back defense. We saw that in Medusa.
Yeah.
But a Crevar, I do not know where the ceiling for Crevar is, and you will have to be Fionn or like 2 other women in the world for me right now to pick against Crevar. I'd love to see Crevar against Jasmine.
Yeah, that would be
I think Crevar and Jasmine would be I think Jasmine's a little smaller, but I think that like that would be a really interesting
who
match.
Would be a fun match? Helena Crevar versus Bia Mosquito.
Oh, that'd be a good match.
Because Bia would just try to beat Crevar.
Bia would just be mean. That'd be a really fun match actually. Oh, there's a bunch of matches for Crevar.
They're both.
Yeah, about that size.
B is big enough that she could definitely be about the same size.
There's a bunch of exciting matches for Crevar. Again, I think that after seeing Knoll on Medusa and then what she was able to do there, and then seeing Crevar this last weekend, again, I've been really impressed with her game and the improvements in her game. I'm going to go Crevar here. And last one, we have Bennet versus Jonathan Wilson. This is an odd one.
This is like the battle of the weird submissions, probably.
Yeah.
This is going to be like...
Does Bennet get a guillotine?
Yeah.
Is the question.
It's going to be that, and then, but Jonathan Wilson might try to like jump on his back backwards just for shits and giggles.
Which Jonathan Wilson will do. John Wilson has been on Main Character before. Yeah. This is I don't really know how to call this one. It should be a fun matchup.
Yeah, it should be a fun match, but
one.
It's one of those where both of them might be kind of playing around most of those just to see what happens.
Yeah, it's a
but
very much play around.
But it was like a call out. I think Jonathan Wilson called Bennet out.
Then I'll love to see it.
Yeah.
So that should be fun. So that's it for this week. We're on to the outro now.
Yes. I'm leaving for Texas.
You're leaving for Texas
Thursday.
I'm closing on a house this week and then trying to move the entire podcast probably. So it's the podcast is either going to be the podcast set is either the first thing that moves or the last thing that moves.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm leaning towards last thing that moves.
I think you're also going to have to figure out who is going to do next week.
Oh, right.
Because
do that.
It's going to be different depending on what day you want to do the podcast.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Think about that.
Oh, we can. Okay.
Worst case scenario, we can do online from Texas.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I'll get one of the crew to come in and fill in for Miranda's co-host spot.
Yeah.
And then you'll return and give normalcy to the show again.
Yes.
But no, we have a bunch of great folks on the team, which is awesome. So it's like it is great to bring them in now and again. I want with a new place. I want to get a bigger we'll have more space to film, so we'll have potentially another chair we can slot in here more easily when we want a triple show.
So we can do like
a big round table show.
We can try to do a round table show like we tried for 200.
150 episodes ago.
That never got released.
It never came out. Occasionally, about every 6 months, I get a message about that. And I'm just like, nah. No, it's in the vault.
Maybe one day.
Maybe that would be the last show.
That would be
the last show we release.
The problem is we're a little intoxicated for that show.
Just a little bit, yeah. There's just stacks of beer at the end of it. I was like, nah. It was a fun show.
It
for
wasn't
us.
Beer. It was
Long Island iced tea that Josh brought.
It was hard lemonade.
Hard lemonade. It was Mike's hard lemonade.
No, hard iced tea.
Hard iced tea.
It was the one that.
It was that one.
It was the one that the guy got punched by.
Yeah.
There was like some meme.
And then Josh spilled it everywhere. It was a good show that will never come out. When we finish doing the podcast, however many years from now when that is, when we decide to sunset the show, that will be the last episode that gets put on the feed. It's like Grappling Rewind episode, 1087, and then it'll be Grappling Rewind episode 200.
Yeah.
Like 6 months later. It'll come out like 6 months later and be like,
it's like the lost episode. The lost episode.
So, that's this week for me. So, hopefully, again, the podcast probably won't move for another couple of weeks, unless it does immediately. But we'll see.
You never know. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. But eventually, you'll see us in a new set, hopefully. And I'm excited for it because it'll give us some more space to do some more things and do some more stuff for the show, which is always exciting for me because I love doing the show. I love having you do the show with me.
Yeah.
And anything else on this week?
I don't think so. I think that's it.
All right.
Try to go to some gyms and not die. So
hell yeah.
If you see me at one of these gyms, please don't kill me.
Yeah, that Texas heat is real.
I appreciate it. Okay.
All right. So as always in the show, I'm your host Maine, joined my co-host
Miranda, and
we are the Grappling Rewind. So Matt, what it is, stay safe. If you like the show, please consider sharing it on Facebook with the folks at your gym. It's the best way that we grow the show, and we really appreciate it. You can reach out to us on email.
We also have Instagram. We have Facebook. We have Twitter. We have Google+.
Until that shuts down.
We have a website.
If you have an event you would like to have us cover, please let us know. If you have a name, like most people do, and you'd like to have us stop butchering it,
let us know.
Reach out to us. The show is also available on YouTube, Spotify, in addition to iTunes and every other podcast service. We very much appreciate your time, and thank you.